Hi, I am Monica Biascallen, representing the Susan Samueli Integrative Health Institute here at the University of California, Irvine. Today's lecture, presented by our institute, is titled The Science and Practice of Tai Chi and Qigong for a Superior Mind and Body. Our lecturer is Dr. Xin Lin, professor of cell biology and a member of our Integrative Health Institute. He is the founding director of the Laboratory of Mind-Body Signaling and Energy Research and a member of the Susan Samueli Integrative Health Institute here at our University of California, Irvine, and has previously served on the National Advisory Council on Integrative Medicine and Health, and on the Public Advisory Group of Non-Pharmacological Management of Pain and Stress in the Military, both at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. Lin has a broad background in both Western and Eastern medicine and health. On the Western side, Dr. Lin has a PhD in biological chemistry from UCLA School of Medicine, did research at the School of Medicine at the University of California in San Francisco, served as chairman of biophysics at Johns Hopkins University before coming to our University of California, Irvine to be the dean of the School of Biological Sciences. On the eastern side, Dr. Lin received indoor training with Grandmaster Chen Zhang Li for the past 17 years and also received training in acupuncture for physical medicine at Hong Kong Polytechnic University. He holds a visiting professorship at the Shanghai University of Traditional Chinese Medicine and was an academic advisor for the publication of the series on Qigong titled Traditional and Classical Chinese Health Cultivation by that university. Besides establishing the Laboratory for Mind-Body Signaling and Energy Research here at our university, he is one of the co-founders of the Mind-Brain Institute and the Cardiovascular Mechanics Research Institute at the Johns Hopkins University. Dr. Lin is presently serving on the editorial board of the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, and a permanent co-chair of World Congress of Qigong and Traditional Chinese Medicine. Now please welcome Professor Xin Lin.
So first, I want to explain the terms. Some of you might not understand clearly the relationship between Tai Chi and Qigong. Okay, so first of all, the word Qi Gong. Qi means vital energy in Chinese. Gong means the work of exercise to give you more vital energy. And then Tai Chi is a very specific type of Qigong. But in any case, Qigong is characterized by, first of all, originated from China. And it has the three vital elements: regulation of the body, the mind, and the breath integrated together at the same time. So a brief view of the history and the relationship of the different things that you're going to learn here. So first, Qigong is like the umbrella term for countless types of mind-body exercises and practices that originated from China. You can see here, this is a replication of a silk drawing dug out at King Ma's Mount. A silk drawing depicting 44 different figures doing different things. This is considered one of the very first artifacts on Qigong from 2,000 years ago. And you might think that, wow, these people are just dancing, right? Not so. Because if you're sitting close, you can see all the Chinese characters, beside each of these figures. And the characters are saying, like, if you do this, it will reduce your stress, it will reduce your pain, reduce even deafness, reduce your fever. So clearly, these have medicinal purposes, not just dancing. From these figures, and many others dug out from other places, came the classical types of Qigong that I teach here. 5 animals frolic from 2,000 years ago, developed by a Chinese doctor. 8 sections of brocade, developed by a general in the Song Dynasty from about 1,500 years ago. Tendon changing classic by the Buddharama at the Shaolin Temple about 1,400 years ago. And in addition, I will teach you 6 Unitive Qigong, Sky Pillar, and many others. That's the Qigong side of things. But within the Qigong family is a very unique system called Tai Chi Chuan. Tai Chi Chuan, Chuan means fist. Okay, it started out as a martial art, still very, very useful nowadays. In the past several years, a number of the national championship in mixed martial arts fighting was won by people using Tai Chi. But along the way, okay, Tai Chi Chuan, the fist, is no longer used as a Tai Chi, and it's now becoming more known as a healthful mind-body practice rather than for fighting. When did this start? Forget the novels, forget the movies. In terms of the written history of Tai Chi, this started in the Chan family village in Hunan province in the middle of China. 400 years ago, as a type of martial arts. We now know this as Chan style Tai Chi because it's from the Chan family village. About 4 generations ago, Mr. Yang Lu Tan, went to the Chan family village and learned the Tai Chi, simplified it, and now it's called Yang style Tai Chi. And from Mr. Yang, Mr. Sun, Mr. Wu, Mr. Hao, and other people learned the Tai Chi, and these are the more lesser known styles called the Wu style Tai Chi, the Sun style Tai Chi, and so forth. But the Yang style Tai Chi is probably the most practiced in the United States. So I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to train with the grandmaster of each of these styles, so I know these styles inside and out. But in the previous slide, for the past 17 years, I've been training with Grandmaster Chen Zhenlei from the Chen family village. Grandmaster means that that person is the best person, in that style at this point in time. So here's Mr. Yang Lu Chan's great-grandson, and Sun, Wu, and so forth. And this is Grandmaster Chen Zhenlei, my teacher, friend, and fellow researcher. Now, let's talk about Tai Chi. Tai Chi in Chinese signifies the ultimate state of balance and harmony of yin and yang. Notice I said balance and harmony. If it's just balance, then the Tai Chi symbol would not be that complicated. It would be something like this, half white, half black. In fact, I took a picture of this when I was at the Mont Saint-Michel, looking in France a few months ago. And from 1,000 years ago, they also have a, perfect balance of yin and yang. But we're talking about perfect balance and harmony of yin and yang. So what do we mean by that? If white is yang, black is yin, you see, from the yang comes the yin. From the yin comes the yang. Even when the yang is at its strongest, there is yin inside. When yin is at the strongest, there's yang inside. Translated to Tai Chi mind-body practice, we can say, from the fast and the hard comes the slow and the soft. And from the slow and the soft comes the fast and the hard movements. Within the hardness, there's softness. Within the softness, there's hardness. This is a lot more complicated than, perfect balance of yin and yang. about the medical side of things? Harvard Medical School has one of its websites that I have taken off here. It says, Tai Chi is often described as meditation in motion, but it might as well be called medication in motion, because there is growing evidence that this mind-body practice, which originated in China's martial art, has value in treating and preventing so many different health problems. And I prepared for you this slide here, and I could continue for many more slides, that on the basis of clinical trials, Tai Chi has been shown to decrease stress, decrease blood pressure, decrease fibromyalgia symptoms, Parkinson's, arthritis, prevent falls in the elderly, increase bone density, decrease LDL, increase HDL, improve sleep, improve mental concentration, boost immune system, and on and on and on. Okay? Now, I just said that we have a laboratory for mind-body research in the laboratory, and our aim is to find out how does Tai Chi and then Qigong produce all these beneficial effects. And this is what I'm going to talk about for the rest of the hour, and this is what I'm going to teach you for the rest of this 10-class session. So first, regulation of mind, body, and breath. Let's talk about the mind. Tai Chi is known to produce deep rest, stress relief, and mental concentration, as far as the mind is concerned. A few years back, the United States Agency for Health Quality Research did a comprehensive review of every single paper ever published on the study of meditative practices. Systematic review. And they concluded that Tai Chi is by far the most efficient in decreasing stress, objectively measured as a decrease in blood pressure. So in this graph, this red line signifies that in a clinical trial, that treatment has no effect. Okay, so health education or just waiting to participate, no effect, right on the red line. All the studies on Tai Chi are way on this side, with the average here. The range from here to here, average here. So they are all showing that Tai Chi has a very good effect. Yoga is here, and then these in yellow are the stationary meditation, such as Buddhist meditation, mantra meditation, transcendental meditation, mindfulness-based stress reduction. All of these, they work somewhat, but not as good as this. And you'll find out why after this lecture. So in our laboratory, we start out by studying the brainwave patterns of somebody, doing Tai Chi meditation. And the main conclusion is that compared to just sitting there resting, when a person, this is Grandmaster Chen himself, when a person gets into the meditative state, there's a tremendous elevation of the so-called theta waves, indicating deep relaxation, big increase in alpha waves, indicating calmness. But if you fall asleep, okay, into deep sleep, you would get elevation of these. But what's different is the meditative state has also an elevation of the beta waves, indicating awake and alert. In other words, when a person gets into a meditative state, it's different from sleeping because you're also concentrated on a single thought, which is in fact the definition of meditative practice, concentrating on a single thought. So it's a dual state of relaxed concentration with the dual benefits of getting deep rest and sharpening your brain at the same time. Next, the importance of stress or not getting stressed is depicted here by Professor David Felton, the former director of the Susan Samueli Center for Integrative Medicine, which is now called the Susan Samueli Integrative Health Institute. So in this slide, you can see this is the immune system. When this is working well, it would block pathogens like viruses and bacteria from invading the body, and you'll be okay. The problem comes when the nervous system is bombarded by stress signals. The nervous system will send adrenaline, cortisol to turn down the immune system, and then the immune system could get to such a weak point that it can no longer resist the pathogens, and you end up with disease. So a dramatic demonstration of this is this classical study done at UCLA by Michael Irvine. It measures the immune system in a very specific way. It measures the level of antibodies to the shingles virus. Okay, you all know about how important that would be. We don't want to get shingles, right? So, and mind you, this is a log scale, not just analog scale. First, in this randomized control trial, half the participants were the control subjects. They didn't do anything, and their level of antibodies kind of fluctuate here for the first 16 weeks. Not much change from the beginning to the end of the 16-week period. At the 16-week point, they get vaccinated for the shingles virus, and the antibodies went up to here. Okay, again, this is a log scale, so this is a big jump. The Tai Chi group, before they even get vaccinated, went higher and higher and higher until they're here. Higher than, in fact, the control group getting vaccinated. So you can say that, oh, doing Tai Chi is as good, if not better, than getting vaccinated. But no, everybody should get vaccinated. So they got vaccinated, and their antibody levels came up to here. Really high. How high is this? It's higher than this dashed line, which is the level of antibodies in the average 30-year-old. So this is like, wow, back to the future. These are elderly subjects in their 60s, and now with the vaccination, they're really. So this is a dramatic demonstration of how decreasing stress by doing Tai Chi could improve your health by, among other things, improving your immune system. By the way, I have given these lectures once in a while, but each lecture I update and update, so you can see from the dates of the scientific papers, like this one is 2016, very recent. Now here's another benefit of doing Tai Chi. First, the group that did Tai Chi did better on functional tests, cognitive tests, in terms of memory, how they could do calculations and things. The functional test scores go up. But what is new here is they found by brain imaging studies that the Tai Chi group has better connection between the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for short-term memory, and the hippocampus, which is responsible for long-term memory. So the Tai Chi participants actually have better connections between the short-term and long-term memory, allowing them to do so much better in all these, tasks. So if you just have short-term, long-term memory, it's, yeah, I remember back in my high school days, but where are my keys, So, but to improve the connection between these two is quite important. Sleep. Michael Irvine at UCLA also did the study on sleep, making people sleep better by doing Tai Chi. First, this is an indication of sleep problems using a particular index. And the Tai Chi group, in the first week, second week, third week, 6 weeks, a very significant drop in sleep problems. The comparison group, in this case, is not the group doing nothing. It's a group doing rather sophisticated therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy. So Tai Chi is just about as good as that. And the resultant effect is that in terms of fatigue, okay, if you don't sleep well, if you're fatigued, fatigue level will go down with both of these. And also, if you don't sleep well, you're tired all the time, if you're depressed, depression scores will go down. So Tai Chi has been shown to have these effects. Next, regulation of breath. Why is that important? There are many exercises that are so-called mind-body, but they don't control the breath. This is a study done at Princeton. They train cats to do deep breathing and then see what happens. I'm kidding, okay. So, just to see if you're still awake. They put cats in a box where they could control the air, the atmosphere, right? And what they measured was the serotonin level in the brain by sticking an electrode into the brainstem where the serotonin neurons are. Now, we all know that serotonin is associated with mood, emotion, mental activity, sleep, and so forth, okay? People who don't have enough serotonin will get depressed. We know that. And, Prozac seems to be the preferred treatment for that, but it has so many side effects, including suicidal tendency of all things. Okay? So, get back to the cats. So, the cats, or this particular cat that's getting recorded, at baseline, just like normal atmosphere, it's breathing in and out, and in and out. This is a breathing pattern. And the lines here indicate the level of serotonin neuron activities. You can see each one is like a particular brain cell firing, so ta 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 like that. Now, unbeknownst to the cat, they just increase the CO2 content by a little bit, by like 4%, and the cat naturally breathes deeper breaths, like you would do when you move to or get off the plane in Denver. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. And the serotonin neuronal activity goes ta 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 ta. Oh, increased. Now they increase it to 8%. The cat breathes deeper and deeper. Ta 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 ta. Ah, so deep breathing could actually improve your emotion and your mood, okay, by increasing serotonin out in the brain. Next, something we did in our laboratory. We all heard that, oh, you're too tense, take a deep breath, right? So in our laboratory, we put people under stress by making them play this video game called The Slender Man. You might recall that a few months ago, a girl was just sentenced to jail for stabbing her friend because she was so tense from playing this game. Okay, so we make sure there are no knives around in our laboratory. So when the subjects started to play this game, their heart rate went from here to here. Boom, 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 okay, because they're stressed. Now, these are not Tai Chi people, but we just told them to now breathe with this rhythm, in and out, slow down, deeper breaths, and the heart rate came down in real time. Blood pressure, same thing. Before the game, during the game, and during the game, but start to breathe deeper, significant decrease in the blood pressure as well. So we can actually see that deep breathing can calm you down, right there. This paper just came out about a year ago. What this shows is this. Here's the brain. Within the brain is the brain stem. Within the brain stem is the so-called breathing pacemaker. Of course, not going to scale, okay? Now, this paper showed that if the breathing is nervous sniffing, like, okay, that involves this part of the breathing pacemaker. If the breathing is like, oh my God, OMG, okay, it involves a different part of the brain. But if the breathing is slow and deep, slow, like 4 to 6 times a minute instead of your regular 12 to 14 times. Instead of using only a quarter of your capacity of your lungs, you're using 3/4 of capacity of your lung. That involves this part of the brain. This part of the brain is hardwired to this part of the brain, which sends out signals to fight stress. Okay, so when you have stress coming in and you're breathing slow and deep, okay, you're signaling through the breathing system to a different part of the brain called locus coeruleus, and that sends signals to fight stress. This is all based on brain imaging studies that just came out. Completely different from that. We found in our laboratory that deep breathing could affect blood flow. We just published a paper on this. So, this Grandmaster Chan with a laser Doppler probe on his palm. What this shows is if you measure blood flow on the palm of the hand and just stand there without moving, okay, the blood flow is, let's say, call this 100%. If you don't do anything but just breathe in slow and deep, you can increase blood flow just by doing that. But if you do a Tai Chi movement, such as this, okay, you can improve blood flow just by doing that, this much. But in this class you will learn, if you do it, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, these increases are additive. You get a whopping 250% increase in blood flow measured at the palm. And the control is, if you act like a bad student who's not listening to me, and instead of breathing in, you breathe out, breathe in, okay? Well, the effect is not nearly as good. In our laboratory, we joke about this. We say, like doing Tai Chi, well, it's like pizza, When it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's still pretty good. How does breathing affect blood flow? So we hooked up subjects first with a strap measuring their breathing pattern. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, okay? We measure the blood flow, and the blood flow comes in waves. In fact, if you look at this reference line, when the person breathes in, there's an increase in blood flow. Breathe out, it comes back to normal. Furthermore, we showed by looking at the heart rate that when the person breathes in, the interval between heartbeats goes down. Going down means the heart is beating faster. So when you breathe in, your heart is breathing faster. When you breathe out, it's breathing slower. So it's like in, your heart goes boom, 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 breathe out, boom, 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 boom. I'm exaggerating, obviously. So this is very interesting. See, normally you have no control over your heart rate as part of the autonomic nervous system. But through the breathing control, you can actually affect your heart rate. So breathing is a semi-autonomic function. By controlling the semi-autonomic function, you can actually affect your full autonomic function, your heart rate. So this explains that is why when you measure a person doing deep breathing, you can actually increase blood flow, and this is because of the heart pumping faster, giving higher cardiac output. This is a very latest study showing that breathing through the nose is a lot better than breathing through the mouth. In this case, based on both brain imaging studies and cognitive testing, they showed that if you try to memorize something or try to calculate something while breathing in through the nose, you do a lot better than if you breathe in and out through your mouth. Okay? This is very unexpected, but the latest stuff. Finally, regulation of the body. I'll divide that into muscles, bones, connective tissues, and so forth. So, just a few months ago, New York Times, an article emphasizing sarcopenia, a decline in skeletal muscle in older people, contributing to a loss of independence. If your muscles are not working. So forth. This paper just came out. They compare people doing high-intensity training versus resistance training, which is like lifting weights. Okay? They found that high-intensity training is more effective than any other types of exercise in terms of making the mitochondria work better. The mitochondria is the part of the cell that we could briefly call the energy factory of the cell. And when you train and do high intensity training, to improve aerobic capacity by enhancing mitochondrial protein production, resulting in higher oxidation capacity and muscle mass and strength. So clearly, when you exercise, your muscles work better, but now we know a little bit more about why. It's the energy production and the muscle mass and the strength. Now, a lot of people wonder, how can you control your weight by doing Tai Chi? How many calories can you burn doing Tai Chi versus like running, okay, or swimming? Well, there's more to burning calories in terms of controlling your weight, as you can see from this study. It came from Scandinavia. When they put people on a bicycle and make them ride as fast as they can, and they monitor different hormone levels in the body, this is the start of riding a bicycle. The hormone that goes way up fastest and highest is called interleukin 6, IL-6, compared to all these other ones. Why is this an important thing to you? Interleukin 6 has a yin and yang to it. The beneficial effect is that the interleukin 6 from a contracting muscle, secreted by contracting muscle, could go to fat cells and break down fats, and go to the liver and make good use of the glycogen for energy. Those are the good things. The bad things is that if interleukin 6 is too high, okay, it will work with cortisol, the stress hormone, to decrease your immune system. So you don't want to over-exercise and depress your immune system. You want to exercise, just enough to break down fat. So what's the proof that interleukin 6 can break down fat? You look at these two mice. This is a normal mouse, okay? This is a mouse where the gene for interleukin 6 has been knocked out. This mouse can exercise all it wants, but cannot produce interleukin 6. And look at him, okay? And when they inject interleukin 6 back to this mouse, it goes back to this. So it's not just how many calories you burn. It's like, working your muscles too. So in some of these exercises, when we say drawing the bow left and right to as though you're shooting a condor, with flexing muscles, okay, you would produce interleukin 6 and perhaps turn some of you from this to this, okay, without burning thousands of calories. Next, muscles, okay. We want to see, which muscle or muscles are used when you do Tai Chi, doing this or that type of exercise. So we put electrodes onto different parts like the pectoral muscles of the chest, the deltoids of the shoulder, and the legs and so forth. And we record from those muscles to see how much they are exercising, during each movement. So in this particular case, we put electrodes on the upper leg, on the side, top, back, and lower leg, side, top, and back. 6 different electrodes, okay, that's indicated here. And first, we ask these subjects to just like walk normally like this. And the 6 muscles are exercised to this extent. 6 different colors, 6 different muscles. But when we get them to do the Tai Chi forward walk, which is like that, okay. See, some muscles are used a lot more than walking. How so? Because when I kick out my leg this way, I'm using my side muscles. When I step into it, I'm using the top muscles. When you walk, you actually don't exercise those muscles. Why is that important? The side muscles are your stabilizers. The top muscles are your brakes. So when I walk and I trip, I didn't fall because I have good stabilizers and brakes. That explains why in so many clinical trials of particularly elderly people, those who practice Tai Chi have a much lower rate of falling. You younger people say, big deal falling, Falling is the #1 killer, accidental killer of the elderly. Not just like breaking your head and die, but if you fall, you break your leg, break your hip, and then you can't move, you can't exercise, you can't eat, and then everything goes to pot. But Tai Chi is more than just preventing falls. So here, we study like 20, 30 different movements of Tai Chi, and we score, the level that each muscle is used. The deltoid, which is the shoulder muscle, from the front, the chest, the side muscles, the shoulder muscle at the back, the traps, okay, shoulder muscles, and the lats at the back. And we label red if it's an excellent exercise. If it's orange, that means that it's a very good exercise. And yellow is still pretty good, okay? And you see across the board, there's like plenty of red and orange and yellow. So like the first one, through the back dodge, is this. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Oh, a lot of muscles involved, obviously, right? Or this one. Twisted body fist stance. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Well, obviously, fast muscles, slow muscles, left, right, up and down, and so forth. We just finished a preliminary study on the use of the Tai Chi Qigong, this short stick. Okay? We can do some of these exercises empty-handed or with the aid of a short stick. The stick is like a couple of pounds, and we showed that in terms of exercising the muscles, doing just this simple exercise, empty-handed or holding one of these rods, okay, empty-handed with the short rod, with a longer rod, or just for comparison, with a dumbbell of 2.5 pounds. So it's not surprising, with more weight, you get more physical exercise out of it. But the proof is here. And look at the blood flow, okay, measured at the shoulder, empty-handed, and with the bump. So that's why we also incorporate the use of the bump in some of the exercises we do here for the physical side of things. All of our muscles have fast twitch muscle fibers and slow twitch muscle fibers. And it's not like, oh, this is fast and this is slow. No, each muscle has the fibers, fast and slow, all mixed in like this or this way, okay? The fast ones are, of course, for fast movements, and the slow ones for strength and endurance. For anybody past age of 30, the fast muscle fibers are the first to deteriorate, or they deteriorate at a faster rate. So as we get older and older, we ought to do more and more fast muscle exercises. But unfortunately, many people go down the downward spiral. They get older and older, and they can't move as fast, and they don't do fast exercises anymore, and they start doing this, or they start doing Tai Chi just like that, okay? And next thing you know, they're walking like this. In fact, they should actually do more fast exercises to compensate for the faster degeneration of the fast twitch muscle fibers. And also, here is important. You cannot do this seasonally, okay? If you exercise one but not the other, within 10 days there's a measured decrease in the function of the ones that you don't exercise. Do you really need to do the yin and the yang, do the fast and the slow and the fast and the slow? You can't just say, oh, summer, I go swim, and winter, I just watch football. Bones and joints. For the longest time, doctors have been advising us to keep our bones strong, don't get into osteopenia or even osteoporosis, particularly for menopausal women, by doing weight-bearing exercises. You have to go to the gym and lift weights. Oh, yeah, that's easier said than done, right? But in any case, in clinical trials, they found that the Tai Chi group actually exhibited an even greater increase in bone density than the people going to the gym. How's that? Well, first of all, when I'm standing like this, golden rooster on one leg, I have 100 and some pounds, on these joints and these bones. This is a weight-bearing exercise. But what they found was the Tai Chi group were told to go do Tai Chi 3 times a day with their friends out in the, out in the park. And afterwards, they go to dim sum. Hey, it's a good thing to do, They really do it. The group that were assigned to go to the gym and lift weights 3 times a week. They do it 3 times, and they do it 2 times. Instead of an hour, they do 45 minutes and then half an hour. And people are never that honest. Did you go 3 times a week? Oh yeah, I did. You stayed the full hour, yeah? Oh yeah. Okay. In fact, they don't, So we're not saying Tai Chi is better than weights, but if you do Tai Chi more faithfully, then you get a better result. But this is the most exciting development in the past couple of years. Now they found that weight-bearing exercises are not enough to keep your bones strong. It's bone vibration that's also important. In this clinical study, they found that you have to jump 10 to 20 times several inches off the ground 2 times a day, and that will result in a significant gain in hip bone density and mineral density after 8 weeks in this paper. That is important as well. Now, this is from an older study, 2003, showing that people who exercise, compared to the control group, have better executive function, better control function, better spatial memory, better speed in recall. Your brain is working better if you exercise. But how come? So let's put 2 and 2 together. This was a breakthrough 20 years ago, a study from scientists at UC San Diego. This is a slice of brain from a mouse that didn't get to exercise, and this is a slice of brain from a mouse in the group, not just one single one, that had a running wheel in the cage. And what they look for are red cells. Red cells are new brain cells that resulted from cell division in the brain. You don't see any red cells here, but you see, red cell here, Oh, so the running mouse, or the running mice in general, got more brain cells, in the brain due to cell division. That was 20 years ago. But then people say, yeah, okay. It's not like, the brain got twice as big, 2017. People show that, scientists show that the new brain cells are super brain cells. They are bigger in size, they have longer nerve endings, better integrated into overall brain circuitry. These are super cells. And where are these cells? These cells are not all over the brain. They're concentrated in the part called the hippocampus, the part of the brain that has to do with memory and stress tolerance. So now we can have a whole scheme made up like this. When you exercise, you vibrate your brain bones. The bone structure has been determined to become stronger and denser. When the bone structure is stronger and denser, they produce more osteocalcin. This is a very special hormone from the bones because osteocalcin can actually cross the blood-brain barrier and go to the hippocampus and signal the hippocampus to make more memory cells and stress tolerance cells. Whoa! So when you do this, you're not just building stronger bones, you're making your brain work better in terms of memory and resisting stress. If you're doing that, you're not going to get that benefit. Now, to put things into perspective, when you age, okay, there's a protein called sclerostin that goes up. When that goes up, it turns the bone structure down. And then all of this is not going to happen. So exercise, particularly with bone vibration, will counter the aging effect. Just to complete the picture, muscle contraction also results in an increase in an enzyme called AMPK enzyme, and this will also signal the brain to make more muscle, more brain cells, in the hippocampus as well. So exercise, particularly the ones that involve muscle contraction and bone vibration. So when you learn to do this in Tai Chi, that's not just muscle, but the bouncing is critical. How much of this you have to do? In animals, they found that aerobic training most effective in increasing brain cells, in the brain. Lifting weights, no improvement. Maybe that's why we call them meatheads. Come on, this muscle. Okay. High intensity interval training, small effect. Okay. So you do some of these exercises to the point of like that. Oh, and how much? Amazing. Okay, these are elderly group. 6 minutes riding on a stationary bike at 70% maximum speed show improved performance in memory tests. So it's not like, oh, you have to do this for an hour. I never have time for that. Okay, it doesn't take that much. This is done at UCI. Very quickly, arthritis. I mentioned before that Tai Chi is effective in treating that. Clinical trial after 3 months, Tai Chi group had a substantial drop in knee pain, more improvement in function, mental depression, health status measured by the standard so-called Western Ontario scoring system. A modified style of Tai Chi is endorsed by the American Arthritis Foundation. Connective tissues. Now, low back pain is, no question, it's the most prevalent problems in adults. At Harvard, they did this series of studies that show what you can do to minimize that. So this is one of a group of healthy mice. They created low back pain by injecting irritants at the low back. And they see that they suffer pain because if you touch them there, they're going to jump, okay? And they could take blood samples and show inflammatory markers going up. Now, they make them do stretching exercises, like I was getting some of my students to do just now, pushing that projector there. So, you see this mouse is grabbing onto the table like this, trying to get away, okay? But the researcher is holding the tail, so it can't really go away, and they, in fact, are doing stretching exercises, right? Induced stretching exercises. And the group of mice that did this will quickly have a reduced level of pain and inflammation compared to the group of mice that didn't do this. But they found that the stretching has to be local. Because when they cut out, that's why they can't use people for this. They cut out this piece of inflamed tissue, okay? without doing the exercise, just use tweezers to, like, stretch that piece of tissue like that, the inflammatory markers will go down in real time. So if you have low back pain, you have to exercise your low back. If you have upper back, doing the low back pain exercise is not good. So in terms of visualizing the medicine, if Tai Chi is medication movement, you need to, like, stretch, okay, the part of the body that is painful and inflamed. And we already know the mechanisms. Stretching, whether by yourself or getting somebody to massage you, will modify your extracellular matrix in your connective tissue, leading to a change in these cells called fibroblasts, and they secrete ATP, which goes to AMP, which bind to A1 receptors, activate nerve pathways leading to local and systemic analgesic and anti-inflammatory effects. So in our laboratory, we put electrodes on the upper back and the lower back, okay? We also measure blood flow, at these positions, and get the subjects to do different exercises. When I show pictures of people, they are not the subjects, they are actually our students, because we have pretty strict confidentiality. Okay, so these two exercises, here galloping shows strong involvement of muscles by EMG and moderate for the upper muscles. And tiger pouncing is strong for the upper, but moderate for the lower. In terms of blood flow, we use laser Doppler to measure blood flow. And we can see that for the lower back, okay, the deer pouncing, for the upper back, okay, upper back, the tiger pouncing produces much higher blood flow, okay, than the deer, and the deer shows higher blood flow at the lower back rather than this. So yeah, it's complementary. So we don't make you learn 108 different movements. Many of them are repetitive. We teach you the movements that will, serve your lower back, your upper back, your side, your legs, so that each exercise has a particular benefit. And so when you go home, if you have low back problems, you do more of this. If you have upper back problems, you do more of that. Instead of just blindly do 108 movements 20 times. So this shows that different movements have different abilities to make blood flow go up at different parts of the body in terms of lower back, and contract different muscles. And so we're going to teach you these different ones. Mind, stress. Okay. Many of the exercises we teach you involve repetitive. Okay. Many times. In Princeton, they already showed that deep breathing could improve serotonin neuronal activity. So I showed you this. But when they look at cats running on a treadmill, okay, on a treadmill, when you turn the treadmill on, okay, the serotonin neurons go from pa 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 to pa 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 pa. Oh, increase, by doing this. But if you make the cats do Tai Chi, okay, do this, they naturally like to groom. They do that, okay, that's the Tai Chi many, many times. I've seen my cat do this like 15 minutes of doing this. Why are they doing that, okay? They're grooming themselves. They don't even have a mirror in front of them. Why are they doing that? Do they impress other female cats? No, because look at that. The serotonin goes from grooming side, 40-fold increase. They love to do that, okay? And if there's any question about why Steph Curry so disgustingly chewing on the mouthpiece playing basketball. Chewing gum is worse enough, it's bad enough because the gum has no taste after a while. It's just mouthpiece. It's a repetitive activity. He feels good, okay? But still, they should give him a technical. Being so disgusting. All right. This is a very surprising study to most of you. At the Cleveland Clinic, they divided randomly the subjects into 3 groups. Okay, you guys are the lazy group. You don't do anything. Okay, you guys are the active group. You go and lift weights. You guys do imaginary exercises. When you see them doing, you just sit there and say, All right? And it's more sophisticated than lifting weights. They build a chair where the arm muscles can, they take a measure the strength and the contraction, big muscle, small muscles. The fingers can push how hard, so testing small muscles and big muscles. And after 12 weeks, you active exercise people have a 30% increase in strength, which is normal. What's amazing is that you imaginary exercise people show 20% increase in strength. Oh, okay. The control group didn't change, okay, essentially. But what did change here is that their muscles didn't get bigger, but the brain signals got bigger. When you try to do this or try to do this, your brain has to send signals there, And you see the strength went up, okay? The brainwave patterns went up. What's the relevance? I'm going to teach you like this exercise called the tiger pushing up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay? That's the regulation of the mind and the body. No, I mean the body and the breathing. But the mind, you pretend that you are a tiger picking up a heavy wild pig. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay? Just now, I was showing you drawing the bow left and right as though you are shooting condor. This is a heavy bow. Like that? Okay? Yeah, well, you're not lifting weights. Next thing you go on a plane, you grab your rollerboard and say, wow, that was light. Hey, because you're training your mind. And that's like 2/3 of the game in terms of how much you can lift. All right, finishing in 5 minutes. Getting back to the definition of Qigong. It's an exercise that could improve your Qi, right? Qi is a vital energy. It's supposed to make you healthy, make you live longer, chase away all the medical problems. But the problem is Qi is not a scientific term with any scientific definition. In research laboratories like us, we like to measure things. Vital energy, you cannot go buy a Qi meter. Okay? But I could buy instruments or build instruments that could measure energy as heat, light, electricity, and so forth. So the question is, when you do Qigong, Tai Chi exercises, can you improve energy that you can measure? And what else? The Yellow Emperor's Medical Classic from 2,000 years ago says, blood is the mother of Qi. Well, we should know how to measure blood. Okay, we're measuring blood flow. Okay. In traditional Chinese medicine, it always says, invigorate the qi, move the blood, or move the qi, invigorate the blood. It's always the blood and qi seems to go together. So can bioenergy, energy that we can measure in the laboratory, and blood flow be elevated by Qigong and Tai Chi practice? So here, we put probes on the student's right hand to measure blood flow. And she was just doing a simple Tai Chi exercise, breathe in, breathe out. And you see the blood flow from baseline went up. Oh, wow, okay. It shows you before, when you do this exercise, blood flow is going to increase. But now, we want to measure energy measured as electricity. Here we're looking at the flow of blood. How about the flow of electricity? On 7 acupuncture points on the hand, 7 different colors, we measure the flow of electricity from these acupuncture points to a ground electrode further up the arm. And you can see these peaks and valleys are going up and down. The blood flow and the electrical flow track each other. The only difference is when the blood flow, when the movement stops, the blood flow comes back to baseline, the electrical flow goes higher and higher and higher and higher, and then ended up at a higher level. So we say, oh, blood is the mother of qi, not the brother or sister of qi, because the blood, the mother, is bringing up the child to adulthood, and then the mother can let go. Okay, except in Chinese families, the mothers never. So, what is the medical significance of that? So, we put cells that we can isolate from the body, normal cells, skin cells, cancer cells, and study them under a microscope. And we could put an electrical current into the medium to create an electrical field, and then see if we adjust the electrical flow, would that affect the cells in a way that we could see without getting into psychological or so-called placebo effects. And what we found was this. In fact, this is published by some other laboratory, but we found the same thing. When we take these cells and just grow them on a plate, okay, these are so-called skin cells, epithelial cells. And when a razor blade was drawn to create a kind of a wound, on the plate, if we put an electrode onto the growth medium at one polarity, the wound actually opens up. But when we switch the polarity, the wound will close up. In other words, the level of electrical flow and electrical field that is relevant to the body can actually produce an effect we can see under the microscope on cells that we take out of the body without getting into psychological effects. And that is consistent with this very interesting phenomenon. You see, the human skin normally has a very low electrical field by itself. But if you should cut the skin, the electrical field will go up dramatically, like 10-fold or 20-fold or 30-fold, just by itself. So the body reacts to wounding and wound healing by elevating its electrical field. So if you can do anything, such as Tai Chi or some kind of medical therapy to improve this, that would be a good thing. So in our laboratory, we found that not only Tai Chi and Qigong could improve blood flow, it would increase energy measured as heat, light, electrical field, electrical conductance. Heat treatment would do the same thing, massage, herbal, acupuncture, moxibustion, cupping, gua sha, they all have similar effects. So, just finishing up, in this class, not only will you learn Tai Chi, you will learn the part of Tai Chi and Qigong that will involve activating acupuncture points. These are relaxation points that you will learn. And the University of Michigan Oncology Center shows that when you press on these points, not with a needle, but by yourself, you could improve your sleep, decrease your pain, decrease your depression, decrease your fatigue. And in our laboratory, we again put people under stress to see if this effect is in real time. We make people watch horror movies, and you can see the blood pressure. When you start watching this, blood pressure will go up. When you press on one of these points, it will come back down. If you push on the wrong point, it doesn't work. Heart rate go up, press on the point, it will come down, wrong point, it will go up. And the same, this is measuring the sympathetic branch of the nervous system, the fight or flight response. And when you watch the movie, it go up, press on the point, it will come down, wrong point, doesn't work as well. Okay, so there's no need to go through this. This is the final slide, and it shows the summary of everything I talked about. And so if you have any questions, you can ask me later, or email me, or look at our website. Thank you very much.